Do you ever find it difficult to keep your design projects both on schedule and on budget? If you're not careful, things can get out of hand pretty quickly, leaving you looking at the calendar and invoices going, what happened here? But today I have tips that are going to help you save both time and money on your next graphic design project. And as a bonus, they might just help you reach favorite client status with your favorite designer. Hi, I'm Mindy Cook, and this is Content Curb Appeal. All these tips are best practices based off that experience, and I'm sharing them with you so that hopefully you can learn them here and not have to learn them the hard way. You ready to start saving time and money on your next design project? Let's go. Tip number 1, bring your graphic designer into the project at the right time. There are generally 2 good times to bring a graphic designer into a project. The first is at the ideation stage. This is when you're still trying to figure out exactly what this is or how it's going to look. And if you have a project that you're trying to push creatively and you'd like the designer's help in seeing what this could be, how to reach your goals, and give their ideas, this is the perfect time to bring them in. Bring them in early. Or if you're working with a new designer and you're still trying to figure out how they work and they're trying to figure out how you work and you're kind of building that creative process together, again, bring them in early. The second time in a process that's good to bring a designer in is if you know exactly what you want and you can communicate it. You've got your specs, you've got your assets, you've got your copy, and you're able to say, this is what it's going to be, now go do it. Or if you have a good ongoing relationship with a designer and they know what you want and you know how they work and you can give them what they need and say, okay, take this, run with it, and you trust them, bring them in a little later, hand them the entire package, let them run with it. Either way works, and sometimes it varies project to project. That brings us to tip number 2. Know your project goals before talking to your designer. Most of us are highly creative and intuitive, but we're not mind readers. So if you don't know where you're going, we can't help you get there. So take a breath, take a moment, figure out those goals and what this project needs to accomplish, and then send that email or that Slack message to your favorite designer and get them on board. Most of the time when I see massive overhaul type revisions in a project, it's because either the goals were not clearly communicated up front or they shifted midway through the project. So if you can nail those down ahead of time, you're going to find yourself with fewer revisions, and fewer revisions means saving time and saving money on the entire project. Tip number 3, proofread and approve your copy before you send it to your designer. Typos are hands down the number 1 type of revision that I deal with. And it's typically not because I made a typo, because I copy and paste the text from the document that the client sends me directly into the design files. So typically these are typos coming from the client. That's okay. Everybody makes typos. However, it typically costs less to hire a proofreader, even if it's a proofreader outside your organization, to go through that copy than it is to have your designer go back in and make multiple revisions to weed out all those little missing commas or additional commas or em dashes or whatever. Everybody makes typos, nothing to be ashamed of there. Just have something in place in your process to make sure you catch them before you start design. This, again, is going to save you time and money because you're cutting down on those revisions, and I think you're going to be glad that you did. Tip number 4, gather and organize your assets before starting the project. Assets are everything your designer is going to need to complete this project. That's copy, that's fonts, it's images, it's reference files where you're like, hey, make it look something like this. Anything that you're supplying to them for them to complete the project, take it all, put it in a central location, and organize it in such a way that they know what they're looking at and can wrap their minds around the entire project from the beginning. This is going to save them time, which will save you money. Because whether they bill hourly or by the project, most graphic designers take time as a big consideration in deciding how much to bill for a project. If you want to learn more about how I organize files when sending them to another graphic designer, you can watch my video, How to Organize Your Files for a Graphic Designer, and I even include a template of folders for you to get started. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Most clients don't do this. So if you take this one easy step, it's probably going to bump you up that favorite client list, and believe me, that's a pretty good place to be. Tip number 5, consolidate feedback into rounds. Whether you're the sole decision maker on a project or you're wrangling feedback from multiple stakeholders, don't fire off an email for every change as you find it. Instead, gather as much feedback as you can for the design that you have in hand, and then send it off to your designer all at once. If you're working with a tool where you can post comments on the design in real time, have a prearranged signal with your designer. That means that's all for now, so that they know it's time to move forward with revisions. Doing this allows your designer to take a more holistic approach to revisions, which is going to give you a stronger design in the end. And it also allows them to knock it out all in one fell swoop, which saves a bunch of time. And again, saving time saves you money and also helps you stick to your schedule. And there you have it, 5 ways to save time and money on your next graphic design project. How was it? Leave me a thumbs up if you learned something, thumbs down if this wasn't helpful at all. If you have any other questions about graphic design or creative project process, put them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. See you next time.